Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we will be solving Leetcode problem 2965, find missing and repeating values. What does the problem statement states? It states you are given a 0 index 2D integer matrix grid of size n by n with values in the range of 1 to n square. Each integer appears exactly once except a, which appears twice. Okay, a is a number which appears twice, whereas rest of the numbers appears exactly once, and b, which is missing. Okay, so since a appears twice, there has to be one number which is missing. That number is called as b here. The task is to find the repeating and missing numbers a and b. Okay, return a 0 index integer array answer of size 2 where answer of 0 equals to a and answer of 1 is equal to b. So the first element of the answer should be the repeating number and the second element should be the missing number. Okay, so this is the example. You can see this is a 2 by 2 matrix, so elements in this array 2 by 2 array should be from 1 to 4, whereas 4 is missing, right, and 2 is repeating twice. So first one is the repeating number, which is 2, and second is the missing number, right? So let me explain the thought process behind the solution. Okay, let's jump back to the editor, right? Yeah, so let me flatten the array. Let's instead of taking a 2 by 2 array, let's assume that the array is flattened, and let's say these are the numbers 1. The numbers are basically 1, 2, 3, 4, and there is a number which is repeating twice. Let's say 4 is the number which is repeating twice. Okay, so yeah, so what is my thought process? Instead of let's take the numbers as 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, these are the numbers. Let's say we have n is equal to 2. That means we will be having total 4 elements, right? So these are the 4 elements which should actually be present in the array. Okay, now instead of that, let's say 2 is repeating twice. Okay, and 3 is missing. Okay, so what I will do, I will basically identify the summation of existing elements in the array, and let's take so I know this is the number which is repeating, right? Let me label it as r. Okay, and I know there is a number which is missing, right? So let me add that over here. Okay, m. Okay, so I know this is basically the sum of the original array. Let's say sum of, let's label it as s, where s is basically sum of original elements. Okay, so yeah, and I am adding m on both sides. Okay, so you see 1 plus 2 plus m plus the missing number. This is basically the summation of first n natural numbers, right, which can be written as n into n plus 1 divided by 2, where here n is equal to 4. Okay, so don't confuse between this and n. This n and this is the as per the statement, and this is as per the summation of the first n natural numbers. Okay, here n is equal to 4. Okay, plus m, which is equal to s plus m. Okay, so correct. Okay, no, this will be r, right? Since m was considered in the summation, r will be remaining. Okay, yeah, so if I bring all the variables to other side, which is m minus r. Okay, so this is one relation which we got. Okay, so let's also consider the square of the elements. Okay, we have 1, 2, 2, 4, which will be sum of the squares of the element. Let's call it as s squares. Okay, ssq, sum of squares. Okay, ssq is basically sum of squares of original elements. Okay, yeah, so let's add this is the repeating number, right? So let's add let's take the squares of all these numbers, okay, and let's add missing number square on both sides. Okay, so again this number repeat miss, all these four are basically the summation of first n squares of the first n natural numbers, which is n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 divided by 6. Here again n is equal to 4, and we have r square, which is r square, and we have summation of squares plus m square. Okay, let's segregate the values. 2n plus 1 divided by 6 minus summation of squares, which is m square minus r square. So this m square minus r square can be written as m minus r plus m plus r, right? Basic math. So we already know what is m minus r, so we can identify m plus r. So m plus r is equal to n into n plus 1 2n plus 1 divided by 6 minus summation of squares divided by the value of m minus r, okay, which we can get it from the first equation. Okay, this value we can get from equation 1, right? So we know m minus r, we know m plus r, and we know m minus r here, right? So let's call m plus r is equal to, let's call this value as x. Okay, and let's say m minus r is equal to, let's say this value will turn out to be y. Okay, y. So if we do summation of these two equations, it will be 2m is equal to x plus y, and m will be equal to x plus y divided by 2. Okay, if we do summation. If we do subtraction, we know already m, right? If you keep m in the first equation or second equation, right, so m is basically, let's keep it in the second equation. Substitute in, let's call it as equation 3, in equation 3. Okay, substitute m in equation 3, which is x plus y divided by 2 minus r is equal to y. So we'll be having x plus y divided by 2 minus y is equal to r, right? So we got the missing value, and we also got the remaining repeating value, and we got the missing value. Okay, so let's try to code it out. Let's jump back to the IntelliJ or Leetcode. Okay, I'm back to my Leetcode. Okay, let's try to code it down. Okay, let's take n is equal to grid dot length. Okay, so firstly we have to find two things. Okay, we have to find sum of elements, right, and we should also find sum of squares, right? Sum of elements, and we should also find sum of squares of the elements, right? So yeah, let's initially make it as 0, both of them. Let's try to loop through the elements, right? Okay, for int I less than n, I plus plus, for int j equal to 0, j less than n, j plus plus. Okay, sum of elements is actually grade of I comma j. Okay, now sum of squares is basically grade of I comma j, right? Now we have identified sum of elements and the sum of squares, right? So as per our formula, sorry, yeah, as we have found the sum of squares, right? So if I scroll down, okay, if I scroll down, okay, so m minus r is basically the sum of first n natural numbers minus sum of the elements, right? So let's take to let's call it as long y. As you can see, the first equation result is y. Let y will be equal to here we have 4 elements, right? N is actually 2, so the length, the elements are from 1 to n, right? So let me define one more variable called total elements will be n times n, okay? So which will be total elements times just a minute, yeah, so which is total elements times total elements plus 1 divided by 2, right? Total elements plus 1 divided by 2, and we should basically subtract the sum of first n elements, right? So we have got this entire value and we will be subtracting the sum of elements from it, okay? Now the next is x, okay? We have identified y, okay? Now that we have identified y, okay, now we should identify the x, okay? X can be identified as sum of the first squares of n elements minus sum of the squares divided by the y value, right? So x is equal to the sum of total number of elements times total elements plus 1 times 2 times the total elements plus 2n plus 1 divided by 6, okay, minus sum of the squares, which is sum of squares, okay, this numerator is done, divided by y, okay, divided by y, okay. Now that we have got y and x values, okay, we got y and x values, so the missing number would be, let's initialize the answer, okay, as new, and it will contain 2 elements. Answer of the first element, which is actually the repeating, okay? So the repeating value is basically x plus y divided by 2 minus x, okay? So which is x plus y divided by 2 minus y. So answer of 1 is basically x plus y divided by 2, okay? First we can actually calculate the x plus answer of 1, and then we can simply use answer of 1 over here, okay? Perfect, okay? Now that we have calculated both the things, we just have to return the answer. Let's try to submit it. Some syntax thing, okay. Okay, Lucy conversions, okay, let's type that is okay, understood. Answer is an integer, right? So let's cast this entire thing into int, okay, and as well this entire thing into int, okay. outputs is 4 and 6 and minus 27. Okay, that's interesting. Here we have missed to do the squares. Okay, that's my bad. We are supposed to take a square of the existing element and then add it, right? Yeah, let's try to submit this. Yeah, now it got satisfied. All the default test cases were submitted. Let's try to submit this. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so here we have missed to do the typecasting, so that's the reason it was actually let's make it as long and let's make it as 2L and let's try to submit this. So yeah, now it got worked. So this one of the test cases got failed because the typecasting was not happening, where it was trying to convert into the integer and then trying to do the calculations. So yeah, that's all about the problem. Yeah, thank you for watching. Do subscribe to my channel for more such coding videos. Thank you.